Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Behind the Bar podcast. Today is day 17 of the Diddy trial. It is marching right along. The prosecution is continuing to call witnesses. Today was actually the cross-examination, or primarily focused on the cross-examination of a woman by the name, or is going by the name of Mia. She's been identified by the prosecution as victim number 4 in this case, victim number 4 of Diddy. She testified largely on Thursday and Friday about the mistreatment that she suffered at Diddy's hands, the fact that she felt scared, intimidated by him. She saw Cassie undergoing quite a bit of both physical and emotional abuse at the hands of Diddy. And so today, the defense took aim at her, really went at her very, very hard on cross-examination. The general through line of the questioning and the testimony, at least in the morning on cross-examination, was why it is that Mia never contacted law enforcement about the abuse she allegedly suffered at Diddy's hands, nor did she ever consider reporting it or asking any third party to do so. It was a lot made of that. Obviously, the defense, we can argue about whether that's even relevant, whether or not it matters at all, that a victim of an alleged victim of this kind of abuse doesn't go to authorities, to friends. She acknowledged she had never really gone to anybody with this. We can debate whether or not that's even relevant, but nevertheless, this is the tactic the defense has tried to take to discredit these witnesses. This is what defense lawyers do. They try to find any chink in the armor that they can, and they go after witnesses on cross in an effort to sort of undermine their credibility with the jury. Now, Mia admitted that she had not done any of this, that she had never reported. More to the fact, she had actually stayed in an employee relationship with Diddy for, I believe it's 8 years. And during that time, she never went to anybody with these alleged allegations of abuse. She also, Diddy on his lawyers on cross-examination put before her a number of really laudatory texts that she had written to Diddy, really thanking him for the time working with him. And they're obviously using this, again, to undermine her credibility, undermine the credibility of what she testified to on direct, that she was under his thumb, that she was abused both physically and emotionally. And they say that her conduct, both during these years of abuse, during the years of the employment relationship with Diddy, and also after the fact, undermine that credibility. Basically say that this was just an effort to, this testimony is an effort to target somebody that she grew to dislike. You'll recall that she had previously gone after him, tried to sue him, threatened to sue him, made a demand of $10 million. It came out last week that she had actually settled that case for $400,000, $200 to herself and $200 to her counsel. And they made the defense did quite a bit on cross-examination today about how that, again, undermined her credibility. And we learned from the person we spoke with on Friday, Kirsten Brown-Neal, that jurors hate it when people that accuse other folks of wrongdoing have gone after them for money first. And so it was important to the prosecution that they try and cure this witness. They did so a bit on Friday. They tried to get in front of this testimony. And then today on redirect. So the way it works procedurally is that the prosecution asks their questions, the defense has the opportunity for cross-examination, and then the prosecution goes back to them with additional questions to try and build them back up again. Everybody takes hits on cross-examination. It's the way it's played. But they then go in and try to resurrect her, try and reclaim the narrative, and get her to, again, in the jury's mind, seem like a believable witness. During redirect, Mia testified that promoting events and projects on her let me start with this. On redirect, she testified that she never disclosed the alleged sexual assault or other abuse at Diddy's hands to the Human Resources Department or to anybody else because she said they wouldn't have believed her and she would have been fired immediately. She said that how much she needed this job. It was her sort of ability or her way into this entire industry that she so desperately wanted to be a part of. She said that she would have been, Diddy had so locked down the narrative. People believed in him so strongly that she would have been portrayed as, this is a quote from her, a crazy person making everything up. She had been accused on direct examination of promoting events and projects on her social media page and showing that she was just in it for the money, basically, again, trying to undermine her credibility. She testified on redirect that promoting those events was just part of her job. But when Diddy believed she wasn't doing her job, Mia said that she would be screamed at, humiliated, made fun of, and her job would be threatened. Again, this was just another attempt by the prosecution to paint her as somebody that was truly victimized by him and didn't feel the freedom to get out. Obviously, this is not just Mia we're talking about. This leads directly to the testimony we heard from Cassie, where she too felt victimized, felt that she couldn't get out, felt that her career would be damaged. They even an underpinning of physical threats that had been made to both Mia and to Cassie, that they may not actually get out unscathed. Mia said today that she feared that she would lose everything she had ever known. She testified that when she tried to leave her job at one point, Diddy's chief of staff told her to go back to work. She also said she feared for her physical safety, saying, "I just knew his power and his wrath." It's compelling testimony. And again, it's up to individual jurors. And we keep going back to this adage that Diddy only needs one juror to ask out loud, why is it that Cassie didn't leave? Why isn't that Mia didn't just leave? It's because the conclusion they want this one juror to draw is that maybe you can't believe what they're saying. Maybe this was just a money play by both of them. And when that didn't work out well, now they have a vendetta against him. Now, again, this is not something that I am signing off on at all. We have, reams of scientific and social evidence to show that oftentimes women who are in an abusive relationship, typically women, men as well, but typically women who are in abusive relationships stick around because they are terrified of their abusers, because they are under the psychological control of their abusers, and they feel, rightly or wrongly, that they have no choice. And sometimes, and in this case, both Cassie and Mia have testified that they felt that if they left, they would be, in Cassie's case, subjected to the disclosure of these very embarrassing videos, also potentially physical harm. Mia testified that she was afraid what might happen to her. They both point to the testimony of Kid Cudi and others to suggest that Diddy is capable of great violence when he doesn't get what he wants. And so that's what the prosecution is trying to get the jurors to feel, is that these women had no choice. They were caught in this, underneath within the sort of under the foot of this true monster who was capable and willing to do anything that he could to preserve his empire. So that was the general focus of today's the direct and the cross of Mia. There was another witness put on who talked about again, back to this idea of cleaning up after these freak-offs. We don't have to go too much into that. I think it's largely redundant of the testimony that we've heard before, but you're going to hear it again. The prosecution is attempting to get the jury to realize this man was sort of an insatiable, not just sex addict, but somebody who was willing to do, say, cajole, harm, whatever it was, to keep his reputation unsullied. SAS 1000 wrote in and said, how would you feel if you were part of the prosecution, defense, or the jury, and Trump pardons Diddy after being on trial for weeks? So this is a big thing, obviously. Donald Trump, he didn't lean into this idea that he would pardon Diddy. What he said was he wouldn't rule it out. I cannot believe that would be true, honestly. I mean, if he is convicted for the crimes for which he is accused, the idea that he would be pardoned, I think, is even too much. Obviously, Donald Trump is his own man. He's going to do what he wants. He has pardoned some really, people who have done some terrible things. But I think this would be a breach of that protocol. I think there are many members of his own party that would be very, very upset if he pardoned Diddy. I don't give a lot of stock to that. Trump likes to be in the news. And so by refusing to categorically refute the notion that he would pardon Diddy, I think that gets him a news cycle. I think he's okay with that. But I can't believe he would actually do it. Bezo Lego says, will we see any more cross-examinations? Of course, you're going to see cross-examinations of every witness the prosecution puts up. The prosecution has indicated that their case in chief will go on for another 2 to 3 weeks, after which the defense is going to put up their own witnesses for another 1 to 2 to 3 weeks. I can't believe it's going to be longer than 10 days or so. But every witness that is put up will be the subject to cross-examination. The only witness we've seen who wasn't was Cassie's mom. When she took the stand, the defense did not cross-examine her. Enhanced Creators, you're hitting on it. Enhanced Creators writes in, why did these people not report anything? Did nobody around them even think about reporting the crazy stuff Diddy was doing to them, or were they just silent? That is the entire prosecution case, that Diddy was such a monster, so willing and able to do horrific things to keep people quiet, that they were terrified of him. Some people were terrified of him. Others were just dependent upon him for their careers. The people, the immediate security around him testified to that they liked working for him, that everybody said he was a good guy as long as they weren't in the crosshairs of his abuse, and they didn't want to testify against him. They were fearful of what would happen to them. They didn't want to lose their jobs. They didn't want to report it. So that is the entire prosecution case in chief, is that he is, they're painting him out to be a Tony Soprano type, right? That you are either loyal or you suffer the consequence. Obviously, they're not accusing Diddy of killing many people, but you are either loyal or you suffer extraordinary consequences, and they felt that it was incumbent upon them to keep their mouths shut. Stellar Real says, Diddy should not get out. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if any of this is true, Diddy could come for these witnesses if he's not convicted. Right. I mean, that's sort of the latent fear that's out there. I don't think there's anybody who's testified that he has specifically tried to physically harm anybody, to kill anybody as a result of disclosing secrets about the freak offs, etc. But there is this sort of latent fear that existed that had anybody gone public, they would have suffered. Remember, the first and only person that ever went public initially, after years and years of alleged abuse, was Cassie, and that was after they had the settlement agreement, and then this video leaks out. We don't know exactly from whom, but this video leaks out, and then the story is out there. And finally, Cassie agreed to cooperate with law enforcement. Up until then, there was no cooperation, and the prosecution wants you to believe it's because everybody's terrified. The defense wants you to believe because there was nothing really that much to report, but it wasn't until there was a money play at the end that everybody decided to come back. So a lot of comments that we've seen about whether or not Trump's going to pardon Diddy. I can't believe that's going to happen. And then, we get 50-50, honestly. The free Diddy crew in our comments to the Diddy should spend the rest of his life in jail comments. The only people that really get to say are the jury. All right, guys, thanks very much. We will be back tomorrow. Derek will be back with me tomorrow, and we will bring you day 18 tomorrow. See ya.